All right, so let's start from this page number 26. And so sterols, what are sterols? Sterols are steroid alcohols. ठीक है, steroid alcohols are subtype of steroids which occur naturally in plants, animal fats and fungi. So for example, cholesterol is an example of sterol. ठीक है, so that is a steroid as well as an alcohol which which naturally occurs in fungi, certain plants and certain animals. These are foamy cells and often get trapped in the wall of blood vessels, leading to atherosclerotic plaque formation. So atherosclerotic plaque formation is nothing but the accumulation of cholesterol that get trapped in the walls of blood vessels. Cholesterol is an example of steroid alcohols. Then there's this good cholesterol and bad cholesterol, technically termed as HDL, which is good, and LDL, which is bad. Now evaporation of sweat, that is an endothermic process, because then it because we feel cold, right? So it's an endothermic process. A man feels unpleasant. Just remember that evaporation of sweat is how we regulate our body temperature, and that's an endothermic process. A man feels unpleasant due to humidity and heat because the sweat does not evaporate easily in humidity and he cannot regulate his body temperature quite easily. Then brown algae, which is technically called as laminaria, also called as kelp. It is a seaweed native to Japan, which is a rich source of iodine, iron and potassium. So laminaria, which is a seaweed found in the Japan sea area. It is a seaweed native to Japan and is a rich source of iodine, iron and potassium. Brown algae, which is also called as laminaria or kelp. Then we have herbicides. So herbicides used as weed killers. Herbicides are weed killers without harming the useful plants, as herbicides are absorbed in different rates by weeds and crop plants. So that's how the plants are not affected by the herbicides, because the rate of absorption of herbicide is way faster by weeds, and then it gets all consumed up and the plants remain safe. So that's how the application of herbicide is done. They are also called as weed killers. Sensor dispersal is related to dispersal of seeds in poppy. Plants have very limited mobility and consequently rely upon a myriad of dispersal vectors to transport their propagules, including both biotic and abiotic vectors. And sensor dispersal is related to dispersal of seeds in poppy. Dispersal is related to dispersal of seeds in the poppy plant. Dispersal of seeds in the poppy plant is done through sensor dispersal technique. Plants have very limited mobility and consequently rely upon a myriad of dispersal vectors to transport their propagules, including both biotic and abiotic vectors. Now ruminants like cow, goat and elephants can digest fibers, but pigs cannot. So pigs cannot digest fibers, right? But ruminants like cow, goat and even the elephants, so elephants are also considered as ruminants, they can digest fibers. Now the floral indicator of climate change is plant fossil. Floral indicator of climate change. For that you have to study plant fossil. That is a floral indicator of climate change, plant fossil. Then cryogenic indicator of climate change is glaciation. And tectonic indicator of climate change is continental drift and pole wandering. So remember these points. Pole wandering is a tectonic indicator of climate change. Pole wandering and continental drift, that's another indicator or tectonic indicator of climate change. Cryogenic indicator of climate change is glaciation, and floral indicator of climate change is plant fossil. Now Rafflesia arnoldi, this is a plant having no leaves, no roots, no stem. It's the biggest flower in the world, discovered in 1818. So Rafflesia arnoldi, that was discovered in 1818, it's the biggest flower in the world, and it has no roots, no stems and no flowers. No roots, no stems and no leaves. Okay, It's the biggest flower in the world, discovered in 1818. Then silicon carbide, that is nothing but the artificial diamond. So silicon oxide, not oxide, silicon carbide. Silicon carbide is the material used in artificial diamond. Then the ovule part is the seed and the ovary part is the fruit, right? So like we have studied the zoonosis category of fruits in which there are multiple ovary which behave as fruit. Then J.C. Bose asserted that plants and trees also have life. And Jagdish Chandra Bose, he asserted that plants and trees, they also have life. And camel humps, they store fat for later energy requirements. Then kiwi, which is another fruit, its technical name is aptery. I'm sorry, that's not a fruit, it's a bird. It's not even a bird because it cannot fly. It is native to New Zealand. So kiwi ka jo technical name, that is aptery. It belongs to the aptery genus and it cannot fly. It is native to New Zealand. It is native to New Zealand. Okay. Just like the laminaria, that is native to Japan. Kiwi, that is a bird native to New Zealand. Then mullis, 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 discovered polymerase chain reactions. So he discovered polymerase chain reactions. Then Arber and Smith, I think we have talked about that, restriction endonucleases की discovery किए थे. And Francis Sellers Collins, he was involved in the Human Genome Project. Francis Sellers Collins. Then lithotripsy, that's ultrasonic shock waves are used to break the kidney stones, that is lithotripsy. Then Agent Orange, so a dioxin used as defoliant and herbicide in Operation Ranch Hand during USA and Vietnam War in 1961 to 1971. So you have to remember the name of this Operation Ranch Hand, in which Agent Orange, I think it was sulfur, some kind of sulfur gas. So Operation Ranch Hand, operationalized by the US Army in 1971-81 in US Vietnam War. So the toxic substance here acted as a defoliant and a herbicide. Bacteria was discovered by Leeuwenhoek, scientist who gave modified geographical erosion cycle. It was he was William Morris Davis. Starch and cellulose, both are made of plus and minus glucose. Now what are they? You don't need to know. Just remember that starch is made of plus glucose and cellulose is made of minus glucose. In fruits and vegetables, wax emulsion is done to extend the shelf life by 10 days. So wax पोत दिया जाता है fruits and vegetables में to extend the shelf life by 10 days. Then physiochemical characteristics of water in water bodies undergoes changes due to effluents. Man-made eutrophication is done mainly due to phosphate nitrate silicates of water. So eutrophication में सबसे ज़्यादा अहम जो कारण है that these are the phosphate, nitrate and the silicates present in the water. Then we have herbarium, that's a collection of preserved plants cataloged systematically for study by the professionals. So that's a catalog of some preserved plants, that is herbarium, for research purposes. Eutrophication involves pollution in the water of phosphates, nitrates and silicates, right? Then we know there are two types of starch. There's starch and cellulose belong to the positive and negative type of glucose. Starch and cellulose. Starch is positive and cellulose is negative glucose. So lycopene accounts for the red color of tomato. March 24th is observed as the tuberculosis day and 22nd of March is observed as the water day, right? Then tuberculosis day is 3rd of October, which is also celebrated as World Animal Day, and 8th of March is Women Day. So I already know that 8th of March is Women Day. 22nd of April is, I think, the Earth Day, and 22nd of March is Water Day, and 24th of March is Tuberculosis Day. Okay, just remember these 2 days of March. 22nd of March is the Water Day. 24th of March is Tuberculosis Day. 3rd of October is not only World Animal Day. 3rd October, that's the World Animal Day, and that's your brother's birthday. 8th of March is International Women Day, and 22nd of March is Water Day. Now, artificial silk, ka ek example, rayon is an artificial silk. Then Crotalaria junki, that's an Indian sun hemp variety, source of green manure, fodder and lignified fiber. So just remember the name of this crop, which is also an Indian sun hemp, source of green manure, fodder, lignified fiber. Lignified fiber, source of fodder and lignified fiber, that is Crotalaria junki. Crotalaria junki, or in other words, Indian sun hemp. Crotalaria junki or Indian sun hemp. Now, frog is an amphibian, cold-blooded, but can breathe through its lungs and skins both. Thyroid hormone controls the remodeling of tadpole intestine during its metamorphosis, where its intestine shortens in length to digest food. Now, Hydra has no blood. It comes under the same category as, I think, amoeba. Now, we were talking about frog, which is an amphibian, cold-blooded, however, that can breathe through its skin as well as lungs both. Thyroid hormone controls the remodeling of tadpole. Thyroid hormone controls the remodeling of tadpole intestine during its metamorphosis, where its intestine shortens in length to digest food. Okay, then pheromones are most prominent in insects. Okay, so we were okay, then the presence of parasites within parasites, that is hyperparasitism, found in Optera class of insects, that is hyperparasitism. Then liquid nitrogen preservation is done at about 196 degrees Celsius, or even say minus 200 degrees Celsius is the normal temperature of liquid nitrogen. Hydra has no blood, but still it respires. Then frog is an amphibian, cold-blooded, but can breathe through its lungs as well as the skin. Thyroid hormone controls the remodeling of tadpole intestine. It is the thyroid hormone that controls the remodeling of tadpole intestine. Now, Holstein is a high-yielding variety of cow found in the Netherlands and Denmark. Rashtriya Gokul Mission aims to conserve and develop indigenous breeds of cows. The procedure of selection used for asexually propagated crops is known as clonal selections. Since the selected plants, human eyes are most sensitive to colors yellow and green, 530 to 535 nanometers wavelength. Okay, yellow to green colors, 530 to 535 wavelength, nanohertz, nanometers. Okay, then dentist's mirror is a concave mirror because it cures myopia, that is short-sightedness. It gives an upright and magnified images. So with the help of concave lens, you get magnified and upright image, right? Then amphibians and most of the reptiles have 3-chambered hearts. Myoglobin is the muscle cell of the heart, and Sarpagantha is a tranquilizer. Myoglobin, that's a muscle cell of heart, and amphibians and most of the reptiles have 3-chambered hearts. And Saccharomyces yeast, used in the manufacture of electronic diode made of semiconductor nanoparticles synthesized by yeast. So Saccharomyces yeast का इस्तेमाल होता है electronic diode made of semiconductor nanoparticles. So it is used in manufacturing of electronic diode. So either it could be anode or cathode. Saccharomyces yeast is utilized in that process, right? So we have now covered 2 pages here.